Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. And in this episode, we're going through the biggest announcements from Comic-Con 2024, including a bit of Marvel insanity. We'll talk about that shortly. We'll have a quick live report from the event, and then it's time for our Deadpool and Wolverine Spoilercast. Let's get on with the show. My name's Aaron Peterson. Joining me today are my fellow hosts, John Davenport and Amanda Sink.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, hello.
Anybody else still have bye stuck in their frickin' head all weekend?
I've got the dance routine.
And now it's in my head again.
Good. It's better than like a prayer.
No, I really dig that one. I really dig the remix they did for that one.
It's a great song to begin with. Except I kept telling people, man, I love living on a prayer. I had a cold all weekend, and that was my stupid response. I love living on a prayer. Yeah, I like Bon Jovi too, man, but that's not what we're talking about. Arr, what are you going to do? I can't wait to talk about that. But first, we have to talk about Comic-Con 2024. And by the way, Troy Heinrichs will not be here this week, which is really sad because he usually loves this particular episode because it's all the geek talk, all the nerd conversation. He loves Comic-Con. At least the Star Trek and Doctor Who stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty into it. I used to be really into Comic-Con, but it's, looking at the list of things that showed up this year, I'm not as excited as I was the last couple of years. Or actually, pre-COVID, I'm not as excited.
Maybe you could, take that fork out of your ass, and then you'd be a little bit more excited about it. How about that?
That's possible, but it's so firmly up my ass right now.
Yeah,
that I
see it. I thought they were teeth, but it's actually the sporks. Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem. It's up there the wrong way.
Maybe you needed to look at it from a more positive spin. Like, God, you know what? Maybe it wasn't what I was excited about, but those fans sure had a great time.
I'm not having a good time. Fuck those people.
Amanda, you're going to have to speak for John for this whole podcast. I hope you understand that because he just can't keep it up, if you know what I'm saying.
I love the responsibility of being able to speak for John. How do I sound super sexist? Super quick.
Wait
just a little
second.
bit.
Talk about making a sandwich. Make a sandwich. Talk about making a sandwich. Something about peanut butter and jelly, kitchen, dishes, something along those lines.
Wait. Since when do I sound sexist?
John, are women allowed to be on podcasts? Let me just ask.
No, it's actually a big problem.
Ridiculous. All right. Well, before we lose anybody else, remember you can always find more information at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Join our Facebook group, The Hollywood Outsider. We're also on X at Buy Popcorn. And apparently Elon told me I have to change the Twitter logo to an X or else, I don't know, he's going to put up mean tweets about us or something. So I'll get right on it, Elon. Look for that to change real soon. Okay. So what we do for Comic-Con is, if you weren't aware, the San Diego Comic-Con is an annual convention held in San Diego, usually in July, where they highlight the most exciting news in fandom, right? Geekdom, however you want to refer to it. It's really the genre properties that it's focused on. It started with comics. It's really evolved into TV and film. And later on, we're going to have Kyle Nolan from NoReruns.net kind of give us a little bit of a man on the street perspective of what the festival was like this year. But we want to go through some of the big news that was dropped at this year's event. And there's some big stuff. And I agree with John, not as exciting as it has been in years past, but there is some big news, right? There's one little morsel that is really, I don't understand it yet. We're going to talk about it when we get there. It makes no sense to me. I don't know. It's about one Doom who's playing a Doom disguised as another Doom. Something like that. That's going to be interesting. We'll get there when we get there. But
are we not going to go full Doom?
We're not going to go full Doom just yet. Before we get there, let's talk in panels. And what that means is each one of us has a prepared panel of stuff to talk about. Amanda, you can go first. So let's take it away with your news items from your panel. Like, what do you think is worth talking about from this year's Comic-Con?
Okay, so we have a few things that get me a little excited. The first is Dexter Original Sin, which is the prequel that follows the serial killer around in 1991 Miami as a young man played by Patrick Gibson with his father, Christian Slater, giving him a hand. Not only did the panel reveal that Original Sin will come out December of 2024, but also that Michael C. Hall will return to voice Dexter Morgan for that show. And he returns as Dexter himself in Dexter Resurrection, which comes in summer 2025. So lots of Dexter and Michael C. Hall to look forward to.
He's not dead. That's what they're saying. I mean, even though
he's literally never been able to die. He is a like superhero, or he's the equivalent of like Freddy Krueger at this point.
I guess the showrunner for that New Blood spinoff literally said, yes, Dexter is dead when reporters asked him to confirm it. And he said, yes, Dexter is dead. But I guess Showtime's like, we actually control this budget, and this is our only big hit we have left. Let's go.
They're like, you don't get a say in this, actually.
Yeah. And Michael C. Hall is always game. And he did say, if you noticed in his panel, that his resurrection will not be a limited series this time. That has potential for more seasons.
That's pretty cool. I'm a very big fan of the book series from Dexter, and if they're going to go into this like he's dead, he's not dead, he's this, he's that, he's that. If they go into a lot of the other areas in which the book covers, I would be a lot more excited. But this is still pretty cool.
I mean, he's never going to die.
How funny would it be if Resurrection ended up being like every season, at the end of the season, he dies, and then the next season he's resurrected, and then he dies again. It's just a different way he dies.
Like
Just
Jason
like
Voorhees.
Frankenstein, the serial killer.
He's already there, guys. I'm pretty sure.
He didn't die
Yeah.
the first time.
He just rode off into a hurricane.
Yeah, he was a lumberjack. He survived that and went and
Yeah,
chopped wood.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. They tried to make it seem like he was going to die off, though.
But he didn't. And now
Right,
they never
he
can. You can't pull that one again. You can't kill him off again. So he's either going to get arrested or get away again, over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is,
Well,
hang on, my question, why can't they figure out how to end this fucking show? Like, why is this character so complicated? They've done it twice and they fucked it up both times. Why?
They're like, surprise, motherfucker, we're going to get it right this time.
I got that reference. Dokes. I miss Dokes.
mhm.
Bring him back from the dead somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's fun.
He was fun. God, TikTok had so much fun with that dude. Oh. Surprise, motherfucker. Sunrise, motherfucker. Small fries, motherfucker.
some pie, motherfucker.
It's a good time.
That's funny.
Yeah.
In other news,
Oh,
The
sorry.
Legend of Vox Machina.
Well, hang on.
season-
You're a big Dexter fan. You didn't even talk. Are you excited about the prequel? They like redid the opening with the entire theme song. I mean, it's just like the original opening. Are you at all interested in that, or is it Michael C. Hall or bust?
I'm open to it. I'm gonna see it. Don't get me wrong. And I like that he's still integrated into it. Michael C. Hall, that is. So I'm open and interested.
Okay. Sorry, carry on.
Well, anyway, The Legend of Vox Machina has its first look for season 3. So this is on Prime Video if you haven't seen it yet. It's an animated series based on the incredibly popular, and then it's real world, like real playing D&D. And it's a streaming series that it's based off of, which is called Critical Role. And so this show, The Legend of Vox Machina, is back for its newest adventure. According to the official synopsis for the 3rd season, which premieres on October 3rd, quote unquote, everything is at stake. And in the world of Critical Role, isn't it always? My favorites are returning: Matt Mercer, Marisha Ray, Ashley Johnson, Laura Bailey, Taliesin Jaffe, Travis Willingham, and Liam O'Brien. We're all in Ballroom 20 on Saturday to discuss the future of the series, the highly anticipated spinoff called The Mighty Nine, and the future of Critical Role.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't watch this. You two both watch it. I know you both like it. You're big fans, right?
Yeah.
Remember right? So, Critical Role, I don't play D&D. Nothing against it. I have played D&D, but I don't regularly. Isn't that show like basically just a YouTube version of people watching people play Dungeons and Dragons? Isn't that all it is?
Yes, that's all. It's all it really is, and it's in this. It's in the world created by Matthew Mercer, and as much as we want to believe that they
easy version. I don't need you going all the way down the rabbit hole. I just wanted to verify that that's what it was.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a bunch of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it's some of the most interesting and captivating storytelling happening in real time in front of you.
Well, I like that
you also have real life actors that like these people were all small voice actors and regular actors before they like got together as a group of friends, started recording themselves basically like in a basement playing D&D, which caught fire.
Isn't that awesome?
And they actually, cool. Yeah. And so it's that whole story of like random people becoming hugely famed celebrities. And it's not even the fact that they just got the fame as individuals, that they were so entertaining. Going back to John's point, Matt Mercer created an entire world that has now been adapted into being accepted. So like there is an official D&D book for this. Mm-hmm. So you can live in this world, which is very, very rare.
I promise you I wasn't giving it shade. Minus I was afraid John was going to go into a book report dissertation about what this was. But the idea that they took this and they spun into this, creating their own properties and their own adventures, I think that's really awesome. It shows you like the potential of what D&D is. It's really like an explosion of imagination, if you will.
Oh, it absolutely is. And the short shots of what's going to happen in season 3 are things that if you were a watcher or a listener, which I was a listener of the podcast, it follows along in the first campaign of the story. So, but going on into the campaigns, the story of the Mighty Nine is their second campaign, which is a whole new set of characters voiced by all the same actors, and it's a completely different story in the same world at a different time in the world. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I just wrapped up the campaign 2 with the Mighty Nine. I'm not as big a fan of the Mighty Nine as I was Vox Machina, but it's still very heartbreaking and lovely storytelling that's happening, and I can't wait to see what they do with the animation of it all.
All right, so my next one is about the Penguin and its new trailer. So I'll take your thoughts, I guess. I guess we partially care about what you guys think about the new trailer, but I have a more important underlying question to ask after that.
Jesus.
Do I have your permission to care?
I guess so.
No, you have my permission to die, Mr. Bond.
So anybody have any thoughts on the Penguin? Just start it off.
Look, I don't want to watch a Batman show without Batman. So I got to be honest. I love Colin Farrell. I really dig Sugar on Apple TV, believe it or not. But I just, and I think he's great as the Penguin. I watched the trailer and I feel like it's just another mob show with a guy in bad makeup. That's what I got from it. I really don't want to watch a Batman show without Batman. I don't want to watch a Joker musical either. I kind of want to see Batman hanging out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really in the same boat. I can't get excited about the Penguin. I don't care about the Penguin as far as a villain or a character in the Batman world, and I just don't want to do it. You can't make me.
Okay, so my more important question, which by the way, my quick takes on it, I am more open-minded than these fools. Yes, I care more about Batman, obviously, but I'm also open, There's stranger things have happened and impressed me.
Well,
but
Stranger Things, the show, that always impresses me. I would love to watch that.
Me too.
Yeah.
The thing I want to add to that is that I just don't want to give my time to something like this because it doesn't feel new and exciting.
It literally is new and exciting for a lot of people.
Okay.
Why does it feel old and stale? Because why?
It's the Penguin. If I want Penguin, I'll watch Danny DeVito stuff, or I'll go watch the old Batman stuff, or some of the cartoons. But I don't need a show.
But it doesn't. It feels old and stale. But if I wanted new and fresh, I'd go back to some Danny DeVito. Some old ass Michael Keaton shit. Okay.
I just,
You know what? At least your point makes sense.
Wait, what happened to me talking for John? Maybe we should go back.
You should go back to that because at least
All right.
I understood what logic was at that
All
time.
right, Amanda, can you translate for me, please? I'm going to shut up now.
We'll move on.
Okay.
So my important question on this is the villain here is mirroring or inspired by a true story. If you haven't heard that podcast. But it's inspired by Harvey Weinstein. And so my question for you guys is around, well, hold on a second.
Okay.
Let me ask my question.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about fake established storylines? Okay, Batman's well established. Everything's been established there. And we have much of the Penguin storyline established. So how do you feel about those established storylines incorporating a likeness of real life villains as the show or movie's villain, if that question makes sense?
All right. I don't want, much like something we're going to discuss later on in a much more positive way, I don't need a distraction when I'm watching my entertainment. And mirroring, if it comes close to the person that I know, and unfortunately anybody I think probably listening to this podcast or following Comic-Con knows all too well exactly who Harvey Weinstein is. When they see that villain, if they start seeing it seep through, I think it's going to be a distraction. And I don't want it in my entertainment. I want my entertainment to be entertainment. Plus, you're talking about a comic book world. Why? Why do we have to be inspired by that? It just feels lazy.
I don't care.
You don't care?
I don't care. I'm not going to watch it anyways. I don't care.
God.
That's fair. That's fair.
Jesus. I guess they should have put Danny DeVito in as like his helper or something.
That would have helped.
His valet.
You know, that would have been better. You know, just have Danny DeVito go like, so anyways, I'm blasting away at people, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, Amanda. How do you feel about it? Does it distract you? Because it would take me out of it if I got that connection.
Well, I agree that it's lazy. I also think it's to a degree, it's because it's so unnecessary. It feels insulting. Like, do we have to give him more of a platform, even as a villain, that now, like, his victims and their families have to watch something completely unrelated and then be like, oh, there's my assailant.
Yeah,
in
like
this show,
somebody
movie
that
that's
was
not.
a victim that was really looking forward to the penguin, and now they can't. And their Google alerts let them know.
You never know.
Like, this is going to piss you off. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like, this is not, why is that necessary to integrate here? So it feels like you're just, I don't know. It's the same way I feel about like politicians being incorporated into TV shows or movies or whatever. Like, I want to be a level removed from the real world at all times, unless I'm watching a documentary.
I think
Some of them give me 3 levels away,
Sure.
but I need at least 1.
I think they feel it gives them a sense of legitimacy by adding some reference to a real world event, and therefore their product is deeper and more worthy of awards and rave reviews. And that, look what we're taking this topic on head on. Otherwise, what would be the reason of even making the show? Yeah, exactly. so don't. It might be a great show. I don't
Harvey
know.
Weinstein and the Penguin have the exact same personality and, troublesome issues, I guess. Like they're still very different. So it's not even like they're mirroring the Penguin to look like someone else who did the same crimes as him.
Well, yeah, and
It's different.
Yeah, I guess. Ugh. I mean,
Anyway,
that's the character
we'll
look.
move on
is,
from that
is
one.
really, yeah, let's move on from that one. I'm already grossed out. Ugh.
Yeah, I'm done.
Take a bath.
So the last thing that I kind of want to call out is something that I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say on it.
So it's about women.
Am I allowed to have an opinion about this?
No, you're not. It'd be best if you
Okay.
just shut the hell up. In fact, John, if you would, get your ass in the kitchen, make yourself a sandwich, and shut the fuck up.
Ooh, I can. All right, I'll be back.
So 9 to 5 is going to have a remake, and that remake is going to focus on Gen Z. And
for fuck's sake, no. God damn it, no.
Hey,
No, those
with
people can't work as it is. They don't know what 9 to 5 is. Fuck those people.
wow.
You're right. They know what 9 to 4 is and work-life balance because they demand it.
There you go.
You know,
You okay, old man?
So when it comes to Gen Z, that's one thing, but there's also these other dynamics that I'm hoping we'll see at play, which is this is the first time in American history that we have 4 different generations all working together at the same time. Because typically people have retired at an earlier age and people are entering the workforce a little bit later in life.
Or just dead.
That has extended on both or just dead. That's extended on both ends. And so we're at a really interesting time right now that in the workplace, you have 4 different viewpoints and ways of doing things and how you were raised. That's, to me, an opportunity to make something very interesting.
I'm all for a remake of this because I think I love the original and it's due for a remake. I'm really bummed that they never got the original ladies back together. Dolly Parton is an absolute treasure of the utmost importance. We need to do everything we can to keep her alive. She keeps the world. I think
Truly.
if there is a heaven, Dolly Parton does her best to ensure we all get a spot there. That's all I'm saying. I am all good with I don't know what that meant, but it meant positive things. I'm all good with the remake. I like Diablo Cody, who's the writer on this. I don't understand how she's writing a Gen Z movie for Gen Z young women when she's a Gen Xer like me. So, yeah. I mean, I hear the buzzwords and I'm like, what is brat? You know what I mean? So I don't know if really we want Gen Xer writing Gen Z. I just don't know if it'll be as thrilling and captivating, long-lasting as like a John Hughes movie would be, because you have someone that's very far removed from that entire generation. And I feel like John, he just went on his Grumpy Cat thrill ride over there, but just hearing Gen Z. Mm-hmm. I feel like people of that generation have a completely different perspective of what their work ethic is and why they do what they do and what work-life balance, like Amanda talked about. Like, they care more about themselves than just putting everything into a corporation that doesn't respond to you long-term, that doesn't respect you long-term, that is willing to kick you to the curb. Maybe they see their own value. And I don't necessarily, what doesn't get talked about enough is that's not a bad thing, because shame on us for having all that loyalty all those years and companies often not rewarding that. Yeah, Gen Z, I'm not too far. I'm just saying Gen Xers probably shouldn't be writing the script. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking forward to it otherwise.
I think that's what could make it really interesting too, is what you just mentioned, the different perspective of Gen Z, and for people to see, how that generation truly does work. But again, from that perspective, I guess you could see it from like a manager's lens, somebody who's been with the company a bit longer. Maybe they are Gen X and have seen the evolution of the generations and maybe like truly understands
maybe
that the good in their work ethic versus, I don't know. We stop every time there's change, we stop wanting to naturally, as humans, we're immediately resistant to it. And I feel like this may be one of those things where if word gets out too much that it's about Gen Z, that people will be too resistant to even hearing their perspective or whatever.
Look,
because I don't care.
I'm not trying to say that there isn't some truth to what John said. Look, I've worked with plenty of Gen Z people that did not want to work at all. And right. I've also worked with some very smart, innovative ones. So, I mean, it's just like anything else. There's definitely a difference.
I had one of my kids sit there and tell me that, he had to leave work because his tummy tunnel was hurting him.
Was it? Maybe it was. I don't even know what's a tummy tunnel.
That's the problem. that's exactly what it is.
No, the problem is you can't ask him that. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, that's true. I couldn't ask him that. And I wasn't going to.
Do you have his number? Because I'm going to give him a call. I'm dying to know what a tummy tunnel is. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it sounds like a very interesting idea, if done right.
That is my panel.
All right, let's go to John and get his grumpy ass off the lawn. If he's not done, like yelling at kids and throwing bottles at people or whatever the hell he does. In
throwing bottles at people. I'm throwing lit cigarettes just for the fun of it. Speaking of lit cigarettes, the first thing I'm going to talk about is The Boys had their panel going on, and there was the big news from the Boys panel was that Jensen Ackles is coming back for a whole new show that they're going to do called The Rise of Vought, and it's going to star Jensen Ackles, who is just absolutely everywhere, and I'm not mad at it. I was actually watching a freaking Batman and Superman cartoon, and he was voicing Batman. There he was. He's coming back as Soldier Boy, and we have Aya Cash. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Stormfront.
You know, she's coming back as Stormfront, which makes a whole lot of sense. And it's going to be about the beginning of Vought and the rise of the whole Gen V thing. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Oh, I like Soldier Boy. I think Jensen Ackles could have been better in that role. I was actually a little bit underwhelmed with his Soldier Boy, and I like Jensen Ackles. I think he's great when he shows up. I mean, in Tracker, like I said in a previous podcast, he made the episode. He made the whole series in one episode. Mm-hmm. I don't think they let him be loose enough. So if they're giving him his own show, I hope they cut his reins a little bit, because he's a fun guy. He's very funny. If you've ever seen him in a panel, I've seen him do Supernatural panels. When I used to go to Comic-Con, I saw him, and I never even watched Supernatural, and I would go to his panels because they were that funny. And
they were great.
Yeah. Let him be him, and I think the show is going to be great. Do it like they did in the season 3, and it's going to be hit or miss. But I do love Storefront too. So Stormfront, not Storefront. I don't want to go shopping.
Storefront is a different hero. That's the size of a store.
You got to live. You have to live with that joke. You have to live with it.
Don't even call it a joke. That's insulting to real jokes.
It's like the Blob from Marvel, but different.
So I don't think I really care about the spin-off shows. I'm not really interested. And Jensen Ackles is not one that I run out to go watch. So if I hear good things about the show, I'll probably give it a chance. But it's not something that I'm going to get, ready to watch on my couch and finish all the episodes or anything.
I will.
How very dare you?
I will tell you, John, this might get you excited because you are a huge Supernatural fan, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and Eric Kripke was behind Supernatural, yes?
Yes, he was.
And I know he's talked about Jared Padalecki coming to The Boys at some point. I bet you he is either in season 5 or he's going to be in Jensen Ackles' spinoff.
Either way, I'd be happy to see that. Although I'm a little behind on my Boys watching, but I'd be happy to see that.
You got to catch up, man, or I'm going to spoil it.
I was going to say, you've missed a lot.
All right, Amanda, what else you got? Or John, sorry, Amanda. I was just hopeful that you were going to do it.
Yeah,
I am speaking for John. So,
wanted to put me
Prime
back in my
Video
corner.
debuted a new trailer for The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power Season 2.
Oh, that was great.
That was great.
Sorry, John. I'll give you permission to go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Mistress. During the San Diego Comic-Con panel today, or not today, but at Comic-Con.
Today, what the fuck? What?
I totally just. During the Comic-Con panel, a big focus of the Lord of the Rings was on the rings themselves. And of course, Sauron. The latest trailer opens with a shot of Halbrand, which we all know now that the character of Halbrand was Sauron all along. And through it, we get a voiceover from Galadriel, which is played by Morfydd Clark. And Sauron sees himself as master of all of Middle-earth. Trailer looked really great. I'm really excited about this season. I know the first season it was kind of hit or miss, and for me it got interesting near the end. But it looks like from the trailer of this, we're going to see a lot more action, and they're going to really put forth a little bit more effort than they did that first season. What do you think, Aaron?
I never finished it. I never finished it. Do I need to go back and finish it? And it's coming out August 29th, by the way, of this year. Do I need to go back and finish? Is it worth actually getting invested in it? Because I got to tell you, when I watched 2 episodes, I just felt like I was bored to tears. Now, I know Troy loves this. He's not here, so I don't have to entertain that thought. You seem to like it. Is it worth coming back to? Does it get better? I'm tired of investing in shows that I just feel are mediocre, and that's mediocre. So the
I
two
may
that
have to
I watched.
rewatch it again and be able to answer that question.
Maybe if that's more time in the mediocrity.
Well, I said I'm going to have to probably watch it again to be able to answer the question, because I feel like the further I've gotten away from the show, maybe I've forgotten some things about it. So I may have to re-familiarize myself with it after then let it sit before I answer your question.
Okay. But obviously it was enough that you enjoyed the trailer and you want to see more.
Yeah, it was enough that I wanted to see where this goes. It's not something that I thought I would be excited about, but I'm a bit more excited about this than some of the other things I saw from Comic-Con.
Do the effects look better in the trailer?
The effects weren't bad in the first season,
I wasn't that impressed. Maybe I'm thinking of the wheel one. The wheel one's terrible.
The wheel one, the effects are terrible. The story was better.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I always thought, was that the story had a lot more action, a lot more story to it, but the effects were terrible. Whereas there wasn't enough action, there wasn't enough story in the first season of Rings of Power.
Okay.
So yeah, Amanda, do you have thoughts? You wanna chime in?
I couldn't get through the first season, so
with you, right? Like we were
Yep.
simpatico in abandoning.
I was really excited for it too, and I was like, I'll try and check it out and everything. I was ready for it, and I think I got through 2 episodes too, maybe. And I was like, I just never went back to it.
My wife loves Lord of the Rings or anything in the fantasy realm, Game of Thrones, anything in the fantasy realm, anything with that kind of aesthetic. And she took the first Ent to Nopeville on that one. Like she bounced right out. Which is
now that you mention it, there are Ents in this second season, so that's cool.
Oh, sweet. That'll really shake it up and get things going. That liven the excitement watching a tree walk.
All right. So speaking of watching tree walks, one of the things that caught my attention was something that I hadn't seen before. It's called Teacup.
What does this have to do with trees walking?
That's what an Ent is. An Ent is a tree walking.
I know, but he's like speaking of tree walking, and he started rolling into something completely unrelated.
Right.
It was funny.
It was funny. What the fuck is going on? Like,
where were you?
I don't know. Where was I?
All right. So
Teacup.
Yes. Teacup, which is inspired by Robert McCannon's novel Stinger. It follows a group of rural Georgia civilians as they join forces and survive a new mysterious threat. It stars Kathy Baker, Boris McIver, Caleb Dolden, Emily Beer, and Luciano Leroux. They're trying to play it really loose as far as what they're letting us see, because they're very interested in making sure that this is something that surprises us. It's a horror anthology series.
It's from James Wan.
And it's from James Wan. It's really great. I'm excited because it's going to be something new and exciting in October. They're doing 2 episodes at a time, and it's supposed to be a nice like puzzle box kind of mystery.
Yeah, I'm intrigued just because of James Wan. It's on Peacock, so there's that. Because I'm telling you what, I just got to notice that they're raising my subscription rates, and I'm not keeping it much longer. It's not one that I want to keep paying for.
Are they really in a position to be raising rates?
No! No!
Like, you ain't Disney out here, and
God.
Disney ain't even got it like that.
I fired Disney.
I'm about to fire me some Peacock. Sorry. I don't understand it. Like, well, guys, times are tough out here. We're going to have to go from, and I'm not even barely paying anything, and I still think it's overpriced. That's how shitty that service is. I'm sorry. I'm not getting excited about
They
Peacock.
should be paying you to watch it.
I actually wait. I'm like, okay, do I want to give up Shudder or Peacock? And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be Peacock. I watch Poker
I like
Face.
the Olympics right now on there.
And there's football coming, but man, I don't know if once I get through December, you won't be able to find Peacock in my streaming. Well, unless Poker Face comes out in January, then maybe you might see it.
That would frustrate me because I have commercials and I pay $5.
Yes,
come on.
That's the thing that sucks. I'm still getting commercials on that one, so I never watch it. Whenever people are like, well, that one Universal movie's on there, I'm like, yeah, I saw it in the theater. I'm not going to go watch it on there. No way. Or there's 12 Kevin Hart shows. That's literally what Peacock has.
Dateline. It has Dateline also.
Sure, it has Dateline.
It has Law and Order, I think.
It has Law and Order.
with commercials. I can get
SVU.
that anywhere.
Good. So it's like watching it real time.
Pass. Hard pass. You got one more, John.
Right.
What else is there?
So we're all excited for the show. We're not excited that it's on Peacock. I just wanted to bring it back around again so that everyone understood where we're standing with this. And speaking of bringing things back around again, Silo Season 2 is set to air November 15th, and they're adding the great Steve Zahn to the cast. This is one of these situations where we can't tell you a lot about it because we don't want to give away the ending for Season 1 because that would be bad. But it's a really great show if you haven't been watching it. And again, Steve Zahn being added. We're having Common coming back. It's just good time. Tim Robbins, good times. What do you think, Aaron? You didn't watch the first season.
I watched one episode.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm telling you, man, I've gotten very, very good about saying if you don't get me in the first episode, I'm moving on. And it felt like I was watching the 100 again. So I didn't need to relive that show.
It's the 100 with less sexual tension because it's not teenagers running around.
I suppose that's one way to look at it. I just did not enjoy it.
Okay.
But Amanda. I heard great things, and I'm not knocking it in any way. If I would have continued, I might have enjoyed it more. I love Rebecca Ferguson. So I'm glad you and Troy and people that love the show you get to continue.
So am I. You may speak now, Amanda.
Permission granted. I never saw Silo. Aaron and I are
that's
almost
enough.
in
That's
sync here.
we can go
watched
on.
The
Aaron,
first
tell us about
episode.
the Marvel panels.
It's true. It's true. You're excited. You've seen it. That's what matters. People should be looking for it. Now I'll go to my panel, and I'm going to cover Marvel here in a second, but I do want to mention a couple of true Comic-Con kind of things, and that's Star Trek and Doctor Who. So Paramount Plus revealed the teaser trailer for Star Trek Section 31. That's out now if you want to go look at it. That's an original movie starring Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh as Emperor Philippa Georgiou. I'm sure I said that completely wrong, and I'm not going to go back and check. So basically, the movie's going to see her joining a secret division of Starfleet called Section 31 to protect the United Federation of Planets. However, she's going to have to face the sins of her past, which are many. Oh, no. And then we've got a new Star Trek.
She's been a naughty girl.
We've got
She's been a naughty girl.
A new live action comedy. You going to sing the whole damn song? That's in the works from Justin Simeon. I thought it said something else. And Tony Newsom, where Federation outsiders serving a gleaming resort planet find out their day-to-day exploits are being broadcast to the entire quadrant. I think that actually sounds fun. Something new in Star Trek. So I'm intrigued. And then lastly, Star Trek Starfleet Academy will follow the adventures of a new class of Starfleet cadets as they come of age in one of the most legendary places in the galaxy. And it's going to introduce viewers to this young group of cadets as they come together to pursue this common dream of hope and optimism. And, I think we all can, it's Gen V, right, with Star Trek. Star Trek realized that, man, The Boys is making spin-off. All these shows make young people spin-offs. The Walking Dead did it. Why shouldn't we do it? So that's what they're doing. That's all it is. Any of these excite either one of you? I mean, probably not Amanda, because I don't think she watches anything Star Trek.
Nope.
John?
The only thing I know about Star Trek is my niece's name is based off of one of the characters.
Which is?
And she was on a spaceship. Kira.
Did you just say, and she was on a spaceship on a show consistently and wholly about people on spaceships?
Mm-hmm,
yes.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said.
That was the joke.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Well, there you go. There's some Star Trek news. And also, the BBC and Disney Plus have ordered The War Between the Land and the Sea, a 5-part spin-off series starring Russell Tovey and Gugu Mbatha, alongside existing Doctor Who stars Gemma Redcliffe and Alexander Divrint. And that's going to focus on a military organization, the Unit, and a fearsome and ancient species emerges from the ocean, dramatically revealing themselves to humanity. An international crisis is triggered with the entire population at risk. Unit steps into action as the land and sea wage war. So it's a Doctor Who spinoff, and I hope if you're a Who fan, you enjoy it. That's all I know about that. I don't watch Doctor Who. I can't help you anything more. I'm just letting you know what's coming. Getting you excited.
That does sound pretty cool. There's a lot of different Doctor Who spinoffs that have come over the years that have been fantastic, and actually almost every one of them have been strong stories in their own right. So this does sound pretty cool.
Well, according to you, everything sounds pretty cool, except the Gen Z having a job
Fuck
description.
those people.
So bitter. Now we're moving to the Marvel panel. This is where it gets serious. All right, kids. This is where the big reveals were. First, we have Giancarlo Esposito. Yes. Gus from Breaking Bad. God damn it. He's going to play Sidewinder in Captain America Brave New World. And Harrison Ford, Indiana frickin' Jones wants in on that Marvel money. And he's getting in on his Red Hulk action. He's going to be Red Hulk because that's what, Thunderbolt is. The Eternals are going to return as that celestial Tiamat, that giant one that had the hand in the frickin' sky. Remember that? That was never touched since that movie came out. Well, that's going to be a source of adamantium. Yeah, adamantium. And if you don't know what that is, it's named after the legendary metal adamantium, adamantine from Greek mythology. It's an alloy that's so dense and rigid that it can withstand multiple nuclear explosions or a blow from a powerful superhuman without damage. Its exact chemical composition is a secret classified by the United States government, meaning that comic book writers couldn't figure out how to write that shit down. Now, that movie comes out February 14th, 2025. That sounds exciting. I'm glad they're finally addressing this giant goddamn thing that's sticking out of the earth that no one has mentioned since the Eternals, which is a terrible movie. I revisited it recently just to see. Maybe I was being too harsh on it. I gave it like a 5 when it came out. Nope. I was being too nice to it. And I gave it the Salma Hayek bonus, all right? Because she was in it, it got like 3 extra points. It's a very bland movie. Anything on this one? Are we glad that they're addressing that? Are you looking forward to Anthony Mackie picking up the shield? Anything?
I'm really excited to see Anthony Mackie back in the saddle as Captain America. Of the things that Disney did on the app that I really enjoyed, it was Falcon and Winter Soldier and seeing Anthony Mackie pick up S.H.I.E.L.D. So I'm excited for that. Giancarlo Esposito as the villain is going to always play as something that's going to be badass. And the Red Hulk is going to blow people's minds.
Yeah, I love Giancarlo Esposito being in this, especially as a villain. He's such a crazy, scary bad guy in the most calm way. Yeah, it's insane. So I think that's exciting for sure.
Very.
And you know what? Good for Harrison Ford. I'm glad he's realized, I don't have really boundaries or standards. Money's money.
I want to see extensive video of the mocap work. I want to see Harrison Ford doing Red Hulk because he is doing it. He said that he's doing it, and he's like, I felt compelled to try to play in this sandbox. I want to see what happens in this world, kind of thing, and I want to see him doing mocap work.
We will know it's him doing the mocap work when the first moment we see Red Hulk run.
Yeah, he just stumbles forward and he can't actually run. That's definitely Harrison Ford. So moving on to. I would love to be more excited about this because the Fantastic Four is actually a comic series I kind of enjoy, but they just can't get it right other than Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. That's really the only time they've gotten a character pretty on the nose in this world, and that's when it was done by, of course, the great Chris Evans. But Fantastic Four, The First Steps is the final title, is going to release on July 25th the next year, and it is confirmed that the Fantastic Four will be in both Avengers movies that I'll talk about shortly. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman. Joseph Quinn, he's having quite a moment, right? He's the only person from Stranger Things really making a name for himself. As Johnny Storm in the Human Torch. And Iban Mas Bakrak from The Bear is going to be the Thing. Now, this is the third... by my count, go round. Well, actually, fourth if you count that 80s version of the Fantastic Four, which why wouldn't you? I think we have an interview with the documentary director on that Fantastic Four documentary somewhere in the feed. But do you guys care? At this point, this is like, we've done this multiple times. I had to endure it with Miles Teller, and frankly, I haven't recovered quite from that. It's going to take some trailers to get me excited.
Yeah, I'm in that camp. It's going to take some trailers to get me excited. However, it's Pedro Pascal, and he's always great to watch on screen. And Joseph Quinn, yeah, he's in the process of really taking advantage of that Stranger Things bump. So, and he's good. I'm trying to not use a lot of fun anymore
Or cool.
And you know, do the Fantastic Four really do much for me? Not necessarily, but if they add something to the Marvel Universe that starts making it interesting again, bring it on.
I normally would not care at all. And the only reason I do is Pedro. Beautiful, handsome, wonderful actor of a man. I'll watch anything for him.
I'm with you on Pedro Pascal. Nobody's mentioned Vanessa Kirby. I love Vanessa Kirby.
I do love her too,
great.
but I've also only seen her, I think, in Deadpool. So
In Deadpool?
right?
No, not that.
No, I'm
You've
thinking of
never seen her in
somebody else.
Deadpool. Are you sure you know who she is?
No, I don't.
Obviously. Well, great
Clearly.
endorsement for
Hold
her.
on.
No, great endorsement. We'll
Watch
just let
me
that
look her
stand.
up and be like, I don't even know who this is.
Aaron, she was in Mission Impossible movies. She's not going to appreciate her.
Oh, that chick. Not who I thought it was at all.
She thought it was
I don't care
Miranda
about her.
Baccarin.
I don't care about her at all. Back to just Pedro for me.
Fair point. Well, I think she's a great actress. She's very talented and very charismatic, so keep an eye out for her. I think her and Pedro are going to sizzle. I think they're going to sizzle. Now, we've also got Thunderbolts. That's coming out, and that debuted with a cast, some footage, David Harbour in full costume, which was kind of crazy. So definitely, check that out. It follows a team of mostly reformed supervillains conducting covert operations on the U.S. government's behalf. It's very similar to DC's Suicide Squad. It's a team of bad guys working for a shady organization to commute their prison sentences or face grisly death. So same concept, totally a ripoff. You can go ahead and say it. I don't know which one came first, don't care. I like this scenario. I think that it's going to be fun. Marvel's version is going to be PG-13. They are not going rated R with this one. It's led by Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier, who is obviously a reformed villain turned fan favorite hero now. It's going to have Yelena Belova. It's going to have Red Guardian. Taskmaster is going to be there. Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. John Walker from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And Luis Dreyfus from Seinfeld. She's playing the mastermind Valencia Allegra de Fontaine. And of course, you're also going to get Top Gun Maverick star Lewis Pullman, who's playing the powerful superhero Sentry. And Harrison Ford is going to show up here too, because he wants all the Marvel movie money. That comes out May 2nd, 2025. This is probably the Marvel property of all that have been named thus far that I'm most excited about, because I love bad guy team up movies. Anytime where you get a team up of badasses, I'm stoked. I'm excited. I love it. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
I'm excited about this too. And Florence Pugh running around doing the Yelena thing. I can't wait for that. Sebastian Stan, I can take or leave, but everybody else is going to do something interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah, my biggest selling point is also Florence Pugh as Yelena. She is just really fun and such a good actress. Otherwise, I can't say that I would have run out to see this. This is actually one of my least excited for Marvel properties.
If I
You're wrong.
was Sebastian Stan, I would introduce Harrison Ford and Florence Pugh. I would make sure that I was the one that introduced them, and I would say, Florence, this is Harrison Ford. And Harrison, this is Florence Pugh, 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 Pugh.
That was...
I gotta go.
I'm very proud.
I can't believe you just did that.
Everybody, you're welcome.
Oh my God. I was like, where is this going?
Now you know. And it was worth
This
the
is like
journey.
a Troy joke. I want you to understand. You just had a Troy moment.
No, it was funny. It was funny. It was. I'm sorry.
You had a Troy moment. It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
All right. So now we move forward to Anthony and Joe Russo. They were confirmed to return for Doomsday and Secret Wars, the new Avengers movies. So Avengers 5 and 6, right? In a deal worth over $80 million. What?
Beep. beep
let's talk about them. Yeah, back up that money truck. Let's talk about them
Right.
returning before we get to the biggest news. And that's Avengers Doomsday is going to open in theaters in May of 2026. And then Avengers Secret Wars hits May 2027. Amanda, you're not the comics fan, but you like Marvel movies. Do you care if it brings back the directors of Infinity War and Endgame, who haven't really done exciting stuff since they left?
I feel like there's so much magic in the movies that they directed that their job was made quite easy. So don't get me wrong, while I think that they're a great duo, I also feel at the same time like they've been overhyped. So I think others could step into the shoes of the director for this one or for these, but I think maybe they're just they have like the right charisma and energy that they get people more passionate than other directors could. I don't know. It's got to be something, because I don't think that it's really mostly attributed to them. I feel like it's just you have some of the best actors currently working on your team.
Sure. That helps.
I don't know if I get excited about them being part of this, because I think ultimately the problem that I've been having with Marvel is just that there hasn't been a unified vision taking us through.
He's still flying around. We don't know where he is anymore.
We don't have a unified vision just taking us through from story to story. Now it's kind of like going everywhere, and it's bringing in the multiverse. And the multiverse was a bad idea to begin with. And I think they're starting to figure it out. And that's why they're going away from the certain villains that they can't mention anymore. It's problematic as far as the story is concerned, because they're floundering because they blew their shot. Ew. If once they start bringing in a vision and knowing where they're going with it, then they can start developing the story from there. They'll be all right. And then we can care about things like directors and stars and all that jazz. But right now it's like, what are you bringing us besides the same old?
Well, I will say in terms of that, there is good news in terms of Avengers 5 and 6, right? That hasn't really been talked about. And that is that Stephen McFeely has been locked as the writer for the movies. And I think that might be a positive thing, because he's been a Marvel mainstay for like over a decade. He's done a bunch of movies, including Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. He was involved in all of those with Christopher Marcus. So the fact that we have the guy that was involved in those two movies plus the directors, that might be a pretty good thing overall. I don't know if it's enough to get excited about. I really, really don't. I think Marvel is grasping at straws on this one. I don't know. But it leads to one of the conditions that the next big news had, was that these two guys had to be there. So this is kind of a package deal. And while they got $80 million, this guy gets more. According to Variety, this guy is getting more money than that to come back to the franchise. So if you didn't know, and how you could pass this up, I have no idea. Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU, but not as Tony Stark. No, he's going to be Dr. Doom. And of course, I'm sure it'll be a variant where he looks just like Tony Stark. And now you're going to have to deal with characters wrestling and grappling with the concept of, how do we fight the guy that looks like our dead favorite guy ever? And probably the sacred being of our timeline or whatever, the anchor being. Maybe that's how they're going to play it. I don't know yet, but I'm guessing it's probably a factor.
Boy, that sure sounds like a locked and loaded script that Marvel's ready to shoot tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like it. Maybe they should put Ryan Reynolds in charge of the multiverse. Then it'd be a lot more interesting.
There's that.
What do you guys think about Robert Downey Jr. returning? Is this genius or is this desperate? And I'll tell you what I think. I think it sounds way more desperate. I would have much rather had another actor step into this role. Dr. Doom is an iconic villain that I wanted to see get his own due. I feel like this is just going to be another Robert Downey Jr. show. And honestly, I love Robert Downey Jr., but I was glad to see him leave on great terms.
I don't like it. it opens up the door to way too many things as far as what could they possibly do. Now it's a lot of it's being pessimistic because of what Marvel has shown us in the last couple of years since Endgame. However, I can't see my way through being able to appreciate this, with the exception of he never takes the suit off. He never removes the helmet. We don't even see his face, where it's basically his voice the entire time. If it's something like that, I can get about it.
Is it worth that much money for just a voice? They're not going to do that. His face is going to be there. They're going to use that.
Also, if somebody used my dead friend's voice, I'd be like, I definitely remember that voice.
They're going to alter it. It'll be like, I'm not Tony Stark. I'm Dr. Doom.
Where is she?
Yeah. I am Doom. I don't like it either. I don't. I think this is, here's my problem with it. I'm sure there's going to be a story and somebody's screaming, there was a 12-issue comic series where this freaking thing happened. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's a different medium. This is distraction 101. This is very, very hard to make work. Could they do it? Sure. You've got the right team in place, I'm sure, to do that. But man, I'm tired of like just packaged nostalgia. This is just like generically cellophane wrapped nostalgia. This is just easy pickings because we're struggling, because we had the whole Kang incident. We had to ditch our actor in that one rather than recast him, which apparently you don't mind recasting roles any other time. I don't know why you can't do it with this one and just continue with whatever your storyline was. Or maybe you realize that people are sick to death of the multiverse, because they are. Deadpool made jokes of it and everybody laughed. There's your hint, Kevin Feige. There's your hint. Everyone laughed because they said it's bullshit too. You're joining in kind of a low point. When they say that in Deadpool, it's a winky nod, but it's also one that we acknowledge because we're all sick of it. We're all sick of it. So the idea of bringing back a variant possibly, or some aspect of where he looks like Tony Stark, but he's not Tony Stark, or whatever, however you're doing it, even if it's just a voice, it'll be distracting. Having his name in the credits will be a distraction. I hope they have to nail this. I hope they can, because really all it did was piss me off.
Yeah, there's such a small margin of error there that it's just, I can't see how they're going to stick the landing, but I've been proven wrong by these people before. I
just don't think that he's the right one for Dr. Doom.
Elaborate.
He doesn't, huh?
Elaborate.
Well, to me, when I think of Dr. Doom and I've seen his character through like Scarlet Witch, he's a beefier, like more intimidating physical presence that I don't feel like Robert Downey Jr. possesses. Like, I feel like he possesses more of a smarmy attitude that can make people intimidated versus the physicality.
Sure, there's definitely that. And he is deformed, so I mean they could cover him with makeup and whatnot. I don't know. Yeah, man, I'm with you, man. It's just a completely different kind of character, and not that Robert Downey Jr. can't play just about anything he puts his mind to. God, stop going in a circle. I mean, there's some circles that are worth it. You know, you brought all the Spider-Man back and you made that work. So it is possible they can absolutely make this work. Absolutely they could. I think Secret Wars could be a fantastic connection of every Marvel hero that's been done to death, or been done to this point. To death, yeah. And bringing them all back. I mean, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine brought some back. You can go back and bring them all back and have this massive fight. You could do all kinds of things, and maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe somehow Tony Stark even comes back himself from another universe. I don't know. At some point, you're rolling the dice. I mean, I'm glad you're playing with house money, but god damn it. Every time I start getting excited for Marvel, you go and fuck it up again.
Aaron is so... What you guys don't see is Aaron is sitting there and is scrunching up his forehead with his hands, and he's just rubbing away at his head, and he's just so furious at this. Yeah, it's cute.
I am. You know, it has been a long time since I left a Marvel movie with my fist pumping in the air, so excited. I went back and saw this a second time. I went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine a second time. I haven't been that excited about a Marvel movie in forever. It was so exciting to have that kind of thrill again. And then I get this news by the end of the weekend, and I'm like, fuck them. I'm only watching movies that Ryan Reynolds is directly involved in at this point. Like, I'm just tired of it. God, this cheap fan service. Now, again, they might prove us wrong. They've proved us wrong before, but
hey, Deadpool Wolverine, there is nothing but cheap fan service in there, and it works.
Agreed. I agree with that, but it only works because it's so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
If they tried to keep a serious tone in that movie, none of that would work. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. All right. You know what? Let's get to the point where we can talk about that movie, because at least I know that was fun. But first, we're going to have a little stop off with Kyle Nolan from NoReruns.net. He's going to tell us about his adventures at Comic-Con, and then we'll be back on the other side. Check the timestamps if you want to, for the Deadpool and Wolverine Spoilercast. All right, I'm here with Kyle Nolan from NoReruns.net. Kyle, you're our man on the street with Comic-Con, as you have been for several years past. So you just got back. What was the vibe this year? Is that what cool kids are still saying? Are they saying vibe? I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah,
anymore.
I think it was definitely very packed this year. Lots going on.
More so than recent years, or?
I think about the same as last year, maybe a little bit more. They didn't use Hall H on the last day this year, so they seem to be, I don't know, I guess it seems smaller in some respects as far as that goes, but then otherwise there were still huge crowds of people on the floor and at every activation and every panel. Everything was very packed.
Makes you miss pandemic season, right?
Definitely, yeah.
What was the most exciting thing that you heard from everybody else?
I think, well, the thing that
event.
everyone was excited for was the Deadpool screening, but they did that more as a lottery. So you knew ahead of time if you were supposed to get into it, but apparently they were not checking the actual passes when it came time to let people in. So there were lots of people that got in that didn't, or that didn't have tickets that got in, and vice versa, where people who had tickets didn't actually get in.
It's the old adage: the people that win are the people that pretend to, the people with the most confidence.
Exactly.
Oh no, I mean I've got the email. What are you talking
Had I known
about?
that, I would have just got in line and gone into that. But
started singing "Bye Bye Bye" right there in the line and say, "Look, man, I've even seen the opening. Come on!" Everybody that is in that movie, hopefully that's revealed by now. I don't know, but. Are you bummed that you missed it because everybody was talking about it? Or
I
what?
think I definitely, because I had actually gone to the Marvel panel. That was the first time I ever experienced Marvel in Hall H at Comic-Con, and they definitely put on a huge show. Like, they bring out all the cast members, like they have big productions, like they had a choir singing for Deadpool. They had them singing Like a Prayer, and then they also came out later for the big reveal with Robert Downey Jr. So yeah, and they had like a flying car come across the stage at one point. So the Marvel is it feels like you're at one of these Apple events where people are cheering at every other word that gets sent, even if you have no clue what they're talking about. Like, character names mean nothing to me because I never read the comics, but people would cheer after every other thing that they would announce.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a few years, but that's definitely how it was when I went. Like, it didn't matter what was being talked about; people were just stoked. And yeah, I get it.
And all the questions feel so rehearsed and fake the way they ask the questions, because all the actors know a question is coming, and it all feels very staged, but people just eat it up and cheer and stand up, and yeah.
So let me ask you, because the Dr. Doom thing, Robert Downey Jr. revealed as Dr. Doom. I feel like the reaction online is different than the reaction that was in that room, because I mean, I think many people have seen the video by now, but they reveal Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom and the whole audience lost their minds. Yes, they just went ape shit. But online, people were like, what are you doing? Why would you ever like distract us from the movie? Like with this, that, I'm curious, because you were there. What was the reaction from people actually at the event that weren't in Hall H?
I mean, definitely in Hall H, everyone seemed excited. I didn't see anyone like, oh, that sounds awful. Like, Oh, definitely. Everyone was cheering, standing up. I had to stand up to still be able to actually see the stage because people were standing up cheering at this. Yeah, so I definitely didn't see any negative. I saw some negative stuff later online when I was reading about it, but people saying they're casting another white guy for this role and all this other stuff. It's like,
of course.
To me, I thought it was like the wisest choice if you want to try to get people to. They're definitely going to get butts in seats bringing him back for this role.
Do you find it will be confusing having him in this, or do you figure like Marvel's already thought about this? They've got.
Oh, I'm sure there's more to it than just. I'm sure they're going to have some way to explain why he looks like Tony Stark. And
sure.
But people are just thinking, oh, they're hiring him again because he'll sell tickets. But I'm sure they have some way to work this into the whole plot of why he looks like Tony Stark in the movie.
I wish they would have cast him as Kang. I mean, he's proven he can do it. Just saying.
Yep.
The Marvel panel actually for people that don't know, like each of these panels, it goes for, like an hour and then it goes to the next one, So what was your favorite panel that you saw overall?
Definitely be the Marvel one as far as like production value, but then I saw like just some other smaller ones like Ghosts and Solar Opposites and some other smaller shows.
What are those? Well, go ahead and what are those about?
So Ghosts they had a few of the cast members of the CBS show Ghosts.
That's where the young woman can see ghosts in this hotel or whatever.
Yeah, they own a hotel that's haunted, and she has the ability to see these ghosts, but no one else.
Okay.
Her husband can't see them, although they said in the upcoming season he'll finally be able to see them at one point, but they didn't explain why. I also saw like Solar Opposite, a bunch of animated shows, Solar Opposites, Crepopolis. There's a new show coming to Fox called Universal Basic Guys about these two guys who get laid off from their job at a hot dog factory after it gets automated, and now they're getting $3,000 a month from the government, and they just go on these wacky adventures.
That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah, they showed an episode of the show where one of the characters gets their face ripped off, and so he doesn't want to get it fixed because he thinks his wife is in love with the doctor that would be doing it. So he'd rather just have no face than let that doctor help him out.
That's a special level of petty.
And then one other one I did was the Jurassic World Chaos Theory, which is Netflix had another show called Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which was set, I think, right during the first Jurassic World movie. And this one is set between Dominion and the second Jurassic World movie. And it's about these kids that were on the island at the time that everything happened, and now they're back.
Oh, wow.
The second series, Chaos Theory, is these kids are now, it's set 6 years later, and they're now back home, but all the dinosaurs are now roaming the earth and back off the island. So this second season is more of it's like a conspiracy thriller. They're trying to stop some smugglers that are trying to sell the dinosaurs, and there's more to it, but it's
well, us in fandom love our conspiracy theories, so we'll be good with that. You do press interviews with a lot of people. Any of those stand out? Like any information you got from anything there that really, really stood out that is worth sharing? Just exciting info or anything? Surprising?
I mean, some of them I can't really talk about. There's a new show that's coming to Peacock called Teacup that should be pretty interesting. James Wan is involved in it. It's a thriller show. There's so much on the list of do not talk about, yet if you read the description of the book that it's based on, it's laid out right there in the description, but they said like you can't talk about all these details. But that should be pretty interesting. That's gonna air in October, and they're gonna release like 2 a week. So, which I think is a wise decision because you get that build up of what's going on. It's more of like like those old like Stephen King thrillers with a huge, large audience, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, or the cast, like they're stuck in
an ensemble
yeah,
cast.
they have the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
They're stuck in some situation. Like here, they're stuck isolated in some location with some mysterious threat that's coming after them, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And so I think it'll work well as it's only 8 episodes, but they're going to be doing 2 a week, and so it'll build that mystery over the episodes.
Okay, all right. October 10th, that's coming to Peacock. I'm interested. It's got Scott Speedman though, so I'm a little less interested. Anything else really stand out in terms of press interviews or roundtables?
If anyone checked out Those About to Die, that's also a Peacock show that dropped just before Comic-Con, all 10 episodes. It starts off a little slow, but I thought it got much better throughout. That's like a story of this Flavian Empire during the Roman times about... it tells various stories. One of like a slave that's... these slaves that are taken and the mother is trying to get her children back. And then another one of a guy who is, runs like a betting parlor for chariot races. And then another one of this emperor who is competing with his brother to become the next emperor, these two princes. And they're setting up a new gladiatorial, amphitheater. So it's all that. It's directed by Roland Emmerich, who was actually in the press room. I was surprised he was there, so we got to talk to him.
How did you get to talk to him?
Yeah, we got to talk to him, and there's also Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. He was there.
Yeah, Ewan.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Yeah,
I can't. I think I said that right, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Do you feel like it's gone back to the Comic-Con of years past, where it's just absolutely crowded and fans are dressing up? The enthusiasm is palpable. Like everybody's excited. Like they're just stoked, and it's all ultimate fandom. Is it back to that level?
Oh yeah, I think it's. I think even last year was back to that level. There's all people dressed up all the time. Like you can't even walk around because there's usually someone stopping to take a picture of somebody else in a costume.
Sure.
And yeah, everyone seems to. I don't know that it ever lost that. Like even the time right after COVID, it seemed like people were still dressed up in costume and the excitement was still there, and it's still as crowded as ever when you're trying to walk through either the convention hall or just along the streets to get between buildings.
Was it the year of the Deadpool and Wolverine costumes?
There were quite a few. There was one day I was walking down the street and a whole bunch of Deadpools on unicorns were like running across the street.
Unicycles, you mean? Unicycles
on
or
unicorns? Yep. It was like those blow up suits where your feet become part of the.
That's funny.
So they were all racing across the street. There had to be at least maybe like 16 of them, all in a big mob racing down the street.
So I'm curious, when you go on site, if anybody ever gets the opportunity to go to Comic-Con, there are tons of activations, right? Like fan activations and stuff. And what an activation is basically it's promotional for a company to try to sell a TV show or a movie or something along those lines. They're very themed, but they can get really creative. So what was the best activation?
Yeah, I would say the one that was the most impressive this year was for the Penguin. They had this iceberg lounge where basically first when you entered the activation, you went downstairs and then you entered like what looked like there was like dripping water. It looked like the club that had been destroyed by a flood in the original the Batman movie at the end of
Sure.
that. So you head down, you end up on this like subway platform, and then they make you feel like you're going down some elevator, but it's really just like moving pictures on the walls to make you feel like you're moving. And then once you enter into the main activation, it was like this bar where they had people handing out these penguin flavored slushies. They had like a hot dog cart, but then there was also like a main dance floor with people dancing in cages and a whole bar set up there. And this was just the main level. So they also had these little like side rooms that you could enter. One said like backstage. You could enter there, and this dancer Peaches would tell you her story and how she wanted you to speak to Oz so that he would get her back on the dance floor and back on the stage. But because basically your goal in this level was to figure out what the secret password was to get into the club within the club.
Oh, there's a secret club just like there was in the Batman.
Yeah,
right?
so they also had this other back room where I was walking and all of a sudden this guy pulled me in to these like plastic vertical slats. He's like, are you the guy who's taken over the selling? And so like they pulled me into this back room where they're manufacturing drugs, and then the guys were asking me,
no, that was real though. That wasn't part of the activation. That was just something going on.
Then they're like, "We need you to prove yourself." So they gave me like a fake tattoo on the to prove myself, and then they were also offering up the password eventually if you didn't.
That's cool.
If you didn't know the password yet, and so the password was Francis, which I don't know why, but I just kept it in my mind. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so I'd remember the password.
Okay, and so you got to go to the secret room?
Yeah, so then once you enter that secret room, you walk up to this guy who's standing in front of a door and you whisper the password to him, and then he opens the door and lets you in. And then there's this really opulent club where this guy welcomes you, and he's got the thickest accent, like, I don't know if it's Chicago or New York, but he's like, I can get you anything you want. Like, anything you want, just let me know, I'll get it for you. And so, like, they were handing out, like, cigars. They were...
Like real cigars? Smoking cigars?
I don't know anything about cigars, so I gave mine to somebody else. But yeah, they were giving out real cigars. They were giving out champagne. They were walking around with food. And then they had all these other various stations where you get your photo taken. They were doing like permanent bracelets if you wanted one, and like all this other stuff. And like there was one guy, at least during the press time, there was one guy walking around like just pouring bourbon for people. Like, oh, he's like showing off the bottle.
That's my kind of guy.
And like
right
the guy next to me had like 4 things of bourbon and an old fashioned by the time he was done. And like the bourbon guy was gone.
That's how I
was gone during the regular time, but that might have only been for the press preview. But yeah, it was quite the setup. I was quite impressed by what they did. Although when I was in that, all of a sudden they were telling everyone to get out. But I had, minutes before, I'd received a text from someone saying, I think the building you're in is on fire. And so I was like, okay. So as soon as they started telling us to get out, most people thought, oh, this is part of the immersive experience. They're raiding the club and we all have to leave.
It's very immersive. We lit the building
Yeah.
on fire. Yeah, it's very immersive.
Then the lights came on. They're like, no, this is not a joke. You all have to leave. And so we walk out and there's like 4 fire trucks outside and the roof is smoking. And so apparently some restaurant that was on the upper floor, their air conditioning unit or something was on fire, or their chimney was on fire.
That's what they're telling you, but really Batman showed up. That's ultimately what happened. Foiled again.
I thought it was done for the night, but apparently they reopened like an hour later. I had a ticket for a regular time, so I went back in with some other folks afterwards. But yeah, it was quite.
That's Hollywood for you.
It was quite impressive.
How would you rate this year's Comic-Con? Like in terms of like how would you sum it up?
I thought it was quite good. They had like the Paramount Lounge was back again. I didn't think it was as good as last year, but I think overall, I thought it was a very good Comic-Con. There were lots of activations to do outside of Comic-Con, and still plenty of panels and everything else.
That's the cool part, right? Like you don't even have to, if you ever go, or you even just go visit San Diego around the time of this, you don't actually have to even go inside the building to have a great time, because like it's the entire downtown by that area is Comic-Con. Like there's stuff at all of those places.
Yeah, none of the activations require a badge, so you could just book the weekend and go wait in line at these activations, and you could easily make a full weekend of just activations.
All right. And before we close out, biggest news was it Doctor Doom? Was
I
that
think
the biggest
that
news,
has to
or?
be the biggest news that came out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, people are still talking about it. All right, where can people find you?
You can find me at noreruns.net, and I'll be posting recaps of my daily activities. I fell behind this year. Normally they'd be up by now, but
Shame on you. Shame on you. All right. Well, thanks again, Kyle. Thanks for doing this, and take care. All right, we're here. We're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm so excited. I just want to talk about
Yes.
this. I don't care about Comic-Con anymore. We're getting into spoilers, by the way. We're not even going to try, because I'm not dancing around this shit. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what to tell you. Probably skip this. Come back when you have. Or just know the movie's great. We had a great time. Yeah, there's some hiccups. Not enough to really be concerned. I've seen it twice. I liked it better the second time than I did the first. Now, if you don't know what it's about, Deadpool's peaceful existence comes crashing down when the Time Variance Authority recruits him to help safeguard the multiverse. He soon reunites with his would-be pal Wolverine, but not Logan. It's from a different universe. I mean, he is Logan, but he's not Logan. You know what I'm saying? To complete the mission and save his world from an existential threat. I'm warning you. Spoilers. I'm warning you. Might be a few F-bombs. I don't care. This is Deadpool and Wolverine. I want to talk about it. Overall thoughts on the plot and the ties to Fox's dusty remains. Amanda, you go first because this is the first thing you mentioned is you laughed out loud when you saw the Fox logo buried in the desert.
Yeah, I love the snarky comments that they make towards our real life things and breaking that fourth wall and how they do it. And when I saw all of the shade thrown at Fox, I just couldn't help but laugh. It's sad. I mean, like, and you can feel that for what it is, but at the same time, that was super funny. And there was a lot of really great humor in this movie that I was expecting. I think my hopes were a little bit too high, honestly. I think it could have been a little funnier, but overall, I really liked it.
Was it all the butt stuff? That was the stuff that wasn't quite so sharp? There's a lot of butt stuff.
There is a lot of butt stuff. There's lots of nuts and butts going on.
Uh-huh. I had to look up pegging.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what pegging was, so...
Really?
No. I'm sorry. I don't do that freaky shit, all right? I'm
How do you know what grinder is, but
very
you don't know
vanilla.
what pegging is?
Who said I know what grinder is?
You brought up grinder earlier.
Oh, shit. Well, I let you into a secret place that I wasn't allowed to share. I was just checking my star rating.
Your Yelp review status.
My God. I love the plot. I think it's dumb and it's ridiculous, but I could just see Ryan Reynolds going, what is the way that we can bring Wolverine into this movie? And so I can get my team up with my buddy Jackman. And basically, we make millions by hanging out and having the best time ever. Oh, here's how. We use the stupid Loki component, and bam, there we go. We're off to the races. And it worked great. It worked. Got them together, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, that's everything about this movie was just a blast. And I like how they did use the stupid thing from Loki, the thing that made me decide I wasn't going to watch Loki anymore.
Same.
I like how they used it, and I love every single bit of fan service that they played at you. Every little thing that every internet theory and wishful casting that you ever came up with for some of your favorite X-Men characters all happened, and it was a good time.
What are your overall thoughts about bringing Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Does anybody have any objections to it, I should say, first?
I don't really have any objections to it. I think at this point we needed something to stir up the pot a bit, and I think that Deadpool's the perfect thing to stir it up. Somebody who can break the fourth wall, somebody who can make the silliness work and then reset everything once the dust settles. I think that's a smart way to use him.
I love that he's in the MCU. I'm curious how he'll integrate with other stories and characters, because Deadpool, even as a movie, is very different from the traditional Marvel movies. They have different makeup. And so that's the only thing that I'm a little hesitant on in terms of blending those worlds, is will we still get what we love from both of them?
Me personally, I kind of hope that we're having a very, very serious moment and you're having like a deep, heartfelt conversation, and then Deadpool just like kind of flies into frame, kind of like he's doing at the end of the movie where he's just in the window and pretending to fly. Like, I think that would be amazing. Just have that every time they're having a serious conversation.
Just a random Deadpool sitting in the background, messing with his knives or something, baby knife, or just coloring in a coloring book randomly. That'd be great.
Something. I mean, in the real comics, I mean, there are panels like that where Deadpool just shows up, and it's well done, and I think it can work. And I think Kevin Feige's probably shied away from it to this point until, he realized he's got a cash cow on his hands. Like, okay, this is a guy that can inject a lot of humor and a lot of fun into our movies again, and we need that excitement. So if we could put him in there, I don't think you're going to see him in large doses in the Avengers movies, but he's going to be in the Avengers movies. I have no doubt he's going to be there in some component, but it'll be very PG-13 version. It'll be a watered down version, because they're not going to go for an R-rated Avengers movie ever. That's never going to happen.
At most, I think what they'll do is they'll have him still be R-rated, but then have other ways to block it off to keep it PG-13.
Or like bleep him and stuff?
Yeah, or like, if he's hanging outside a window and somebody's talking to someone else and he's behind them with like a piece of paper and it just says like F you, but the letters are cut off or something because of somebody's body or the way it's framed or something weird like that. And so you're still getting Deadpool's intentions of how he is very R-rated and he's not muted, but that we're just obscured from saying that or hearing it in its full capacity.
I think they're going to find a way to neuter him in some way. Like somebody, you're going to have Happy have a conversation with him and say, look, you can be an Avenger, but you can't swear. Like you just can't swear. So it's going to be something along those lines. That would be my guess. But what about bringing Wolverine, a.k.a. Hugh Jackman, back? Does he fit in this universe? And now, I mean, my God, with the audience reception, there's zero chance he doesn't show up in Secret Wars either, as well as Avengers 5. Like, you're going to see Wolverine come back because they've got a cash cow on their hands again. And they don't want to say goodbye to him this early.
I want to see Wolverine back in the world. At this point, I don't think there's a way to bring in Wolverine, anybody else as Wolverine. It's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy to say that because Hugh Jackman is 52, 53, maybe 55. I don't know.
He's
old.
55. Correct.
He's 55.
Yep.
Like, it's hard to say because he's 55. Eventually his age is going to start showing. However, it's hard to see anybody else playing Wolverine.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want anyone else to play Wolverine, especially while he can still play that character. And he does such a phenomenal job at it. He's ripped to all hell. Oh my God.
When they're holding hands and the costume rips off and his abs are popping out and you see just Deadpool leaning over just going, oh. I mean, I think we were all turned on in the theater at that point. Everybody.
You're so weird.
Everybody was excited.
He was ripped.
Yes.
I don't know. I was more excited about the Wolverine. So,
well, you should be ashamed of yourself because he pales in comparison. I'm sorry. I like Henry Cavill. There is nothing about him that even comes close to the charisma that Hugh Jackman possesses. Nothing. He is just not in the same zip code. He's not.
I'll probably have to agree with you on that one. However, I still like seeing it. Although Short King Wolverine is probably the way to go.
Oh my God. That one. God, I like that they had all the different Wolverines and they had Old Man Logan and, they had the nod to the comic where he was on the cross. And I like how Deadpool just leaves him like, sorry, we're going another way. That was great. Mm-hmm. All those things were good touches. The comics accurate Wolverine, which he wasn't, he was still way too short, even for the comics accurate. Because the comics accurate one is like 5'3" or something like that. And this guy was like he was a little fella.
He was like 4 feet at best.
But I just love how much he stabbed Deadpool so many times in this movie.
Over and over and over. And there was not a single place that he did not stab him.
No. And I think something bears saying, right, is Ryan Reynolds he's great as Deadpool. When it comes to the emotional moments, those don't really hit me as hard with Ryan Reynolds because it's just hard to take him seriously sometimes. But Hugh Jackman is playing a different version of Logan, similar but different. And there are several moments where his emotional core hit me right in the gut because he's just so good of an actor. When he's in the car and he's going off on Deadpool and actually shutting him, like the only person that's shut him up in 3 goddamn movies. And he's just going off on him. He's like, it's one of God's greatest jokes that you can't die because, and that whole monologue crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. I'm like, why am I getting all kind of weepy with this guy's, this is a Deadpool movie. Why am I getting a little weepy here? Because Hugh Jackman's that good. That's how much he brings gravitas to that role. Man.
Yeah, he's pretty incredible. Whatever he does, whatever he touches, Hugh Jackman just improves it.
Sure.
It's almost like you could say that Hugh Jackman is the greatest showman.
You were mad at me for pew pew pew, but that was good. That was good. I'm going to give you that was a good joke. That was a good joke. It was. Now, what do you think of these two together as a team, both as characters and actors? I do think I'm probably exhausted from the promotional showcase that they've been on, the tour that they've been on, because I don't think I've opened any social media without seeing some video with those two. They were on Hot Wings, and poor Hugh Jackman was in tears, by the way. Tears. What do you think of these two as the team up, as characters? I'm stoked. I love having them together. That in the comics, it's great, and I definitely want to see Deadpool and Spider-Man if that's possible, but they're not going to let Spider-Man go R-rated. It fit perfect for who the characters are, that they would both be together in an R-rated movie.
Yeah, and it was perfect. It was so well done as far as how the two of them interact. It was so natural. You can tell that these two are just friends. I mean, Ryan Reynolds can have that sort of charisma with a paper bag, and that paper bag would probably be the same paper bag that Hugh Jackman did something weird with, but that's besides the point. It's such, I don't know. I was on.
No, what you just said. Something about Hugh Jackman fucked a paper bag. That's what I heard.
Can you prove he didn't?
I don't. Yeah, no, I guess.
Okay.
What is going on?
I don't know.
I'm back to taking over for John. I'm just kidding.
That's okay.
No, that's how conversations work. Everybody chimes in. It's fine.
Yeah, go for it.
I love that. I love their camaraderie. I love that they're fighting against each other. They end the movie as friendly. You know, I don't even know if they're really friends. You end the movie in Deadpool's universe, but you know they're going to pull him out and probably Wolverine out to do more down the road. So I just got really excited by all that.
They're just such a fun duo, and I think it's hard to replicate that because so much of it is based in love and passion for being able to work together with as close as they are and for as long as they've been good friends. And so I think that probably has a lot to do with it. And I don't know, they tap into different parts of us, kind of like Aaron was saying, where you get the emotional side. So it's like yin and yang. You get the emotional side from Wolverine, from Hugh Jackman, and more of like the angst and stuff. And then you get crazy action from both of them, but a lot of clever humor and cultural reference, like pop culture references from Deadpool. So they balance each other out nicely.
Did anybody notice that the ending is totally a ripoff of Guardians of the Galaxy 1? Like it's the exact same resolution.
Yes, it is.
It is. Grab the glowy thing. I'm going to come at the last time and grab your hand so we can save the glowy thing and make sure that the glowy thing kills the other guy, which is what happened. Same ending.
Yeah, it's
totally a ripoff. It's a ripoff.
It's a ripoff.
Is it an homage?
Hey,
no, it's
maybe
a
it is
ripoff.
a homage.
I think it's just
How did you appreciate seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade again?
We're not there yet. Just hang tight, man. There's a whole...
All right.
Look at the format. There's shit for cameos. You know what I'm saying? Hold your goddamn horses.
All right.
It's almost like you're not allowed to have a real conversation.
Okay, you know what? I fucking loved Wesley Snipes. I pissed myself, and I tell you what, YouTube ruined it for me. I avoided every goddamn spoiler till the day of. And Jimmy Kimmel, Hugh Jackman. And,
he said YouTube, not YouTube.
No, not YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. So I'm on, now that it's out, I can say this. I was watching the YouTube video with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. They were on Jimmy Kimmel promoting the movie. That's it. Literally promoting the movie. That's it, right? I was watching that. And the comments, very first comment, spoiled that Blade was in the movie.
That's so messed up.
I made it up until the day I saw the fucking movie before it was spoiled. I stayed off social media. That's the only thing I watched because I wanted to see those two. Shame on me for enjoying their bromance. You know what I mean?
That's what you get for reading the comments. Why would you do that to yourself?
It was literally, you know how YouTube has, it's the auto. It was the only comment I could see was that comment. I couldn't believe Blade showed up. Fuck you, rando. I hope you go ice skating up.
And that also means they saw it early because he goes and sees movies on Thursdays.
Yeah, it opened overseas earlier.
Yeah. So it's somebody who knew that they were seeing it before the majority of others.
Oh my God. Just crushed me a little bit. But It's still very cool. And I saw it the second time and I didn't have that anger in my heart.
Mm-hmm,
and I had the same joy that I would have had the first time. Wesley Snipes.
Some motherfuckers are still ice skating uphill.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes just is Blade. And I love the in-joke that if you didn't know, like he and Ryan Reynolds did not get along on Blade Trinity 20 years ago. And so, because Wesley Snipes famously said he didn't understand his humor. He didn't find him funny. And he respects him now. He's like, he found a niche and he made it work for him. So good on him. But they did not get along during Blade Trinity. So there's a joke in the movie where he says, where Blade says to Deadpool, I don't like you. And Deadpool says, you never did. And that's a reference to that whole long-standing feud.
I'm the only Blade there will ever be.
And then Deadpool looks at the camera like, oh, shit. Who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell him?
When I saw Wesley Snipes come on screen, first of all, my theater was not very audible with reactions.
Oh,
You'd hear it a little bit. I know.
Bad.
And I went on a Friday night because I wanted to experience the full audience, like a sold out theater. And it was. And I was kind of bummed because when other people don't do it, you don't want to be the only one who does it, right? Like you want everybody to be cheering. And so at that point, I kind of got the hint like, oh, we're a quiet theater. Okay, got it. So Wesley Snipes comes on and they're introducing Blade. And I'm like, freaking out silently in my seat because I can't make noise in my theater. So I have my fist in the air like, yes! And my jaws dropped and I look at the person I'm with and I was like, oh my God! And I didn't say a word though, or let anything out of my mouth. So I had to silently scream for joy. But it was amazing. It was so fun to see him.
It was so fun. My crowd was excited. I saw it twice. My crowd was excited both times. Like they were stoked both times.
Okay, way to brag.
I'm just saying they had a great time. What was amazing to me is the first crowd, because on Thursday nights, if you don't know, if you go like opening, it's like the midnight shows, right? That we used to have. Those are usually the diehards of the fans, right? Those are the people that know the history, that know everything. They all laughed their asses off at Channing Tatum as Gambit.
Yeah.
The second time I went, nobody laughed at that. They were laughing at Deadpool's jokes about who is your dialect coach, like that kind of shit. But like they weren't getting the whole Channing Tatum tried to be Gambit for 10 years, and then Fox just finally said you're never going to make your movie, so he never got to be Gambit. So Ryan Reynolds finally gave him the opportunity. They don't get the in joke. They don't get the behind the scenes joke. The diehards got it. So it was kind of crazy seeing the different audience reactions to so much of this behind the scenes humor that he was putting into the movies.
When you saw it the second time, when did you see it?
Sunday afternoon. It was crowded. Why, you got a theory?
Well, I was just wondering if it was like a generational thing.
They were young.
Like,
yeah, because Gen Z sucks,
That was good.
Yeah.
Good for you. Full circle.
Bitter John. Yeah.
Some say that's the best John.
Did you guys get, John, I think you know that whole backstory, right? About Gambit?
Yeah, no, I know that whole backstory, and I really love seeing the fact. Here's the thing that I loved about this movie was that so much of the fan service was about this dream castings that people have always talked about, and that whole backstory with Gambit, like a lot of that, and bringing back Jennifer Garner as
Elektra,
all of that was just giving her character an opportunity to shine when she didn't really get that in her own movie. It was a lot of very cool things that we got to see out of this whole thing. And it was, again, all of it was fantastic fan service. It was a movie that knew who their fans was and wanted to show them love. And we got that.
Did you know the Gambit backstory, Amanda?
Of course I didn't know that.
Now, did you enjoy it?
I'm a millennial.
Did you enjoy it regardless?
Yeah, It was still funny. It was still entertaining. And I knew that there was like some sort of history between Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes. I thought it was like all super real. I didn't know it was like built upon Wesley Snipes just being very much in character. So I was like, oh, I thought this was like a real feud that they had.
I think it was a feud from Wesley Snipes. I don't think Ryan Reynolds thought it was a feud so much as Wesley Snipes. What he did is he kept trying to get Wesley Snipes to break character, and Wesley Snipes didn't want his jokes. That's what it was. And he had an issue with the director. There was a whole thing going there. Because I think Wesley Snipes...
Call me Blade.
Yeah, I think Wesley Snipes felt like they were trying to do a spin-off more than they were trying to do a Blade movie.
That makes sense. He's very protective of Blade.
He loves Blade, man. He is Blade.
He does.
Yeah.
He is. Yes.
He probably walks into the grocery store in a black trench coat and shit. And he's just walking around going, "I'm Blade."
It's 108 degrees outside.
Yep.
He's got his black trench coat.
Why is Wesley Snipes getting frosted flakes at 3 in the afternoon in a trench coat? Because I'm Blade.
With the sunglasses.
Absolutely. I would if I was him. If I looked that cool with sunglasses and a trench coat, I would wear it all the time.
True. Very true.
All the time.
They had a lot of great references to different characters in past movies and, you know, like behind the scenes stuff. They also had some funny jokes about real life situations. Like you brought up Jennifer Garner and Elektra. And so they kind of made a riff on Daredevil. They made a joke about
he's dead.
And they made a joke about Hugh Jackman's divorce, which I was like, that cuts deep.
Oh,
but
man.
that was super funny.
It came back. He's let himself go after the divorce, which is a great joke. And then later when he's shirtless and he looks amazing. Oh, well, shit. My bad. They're going to make you do this till you're 90. Love that. And I do love the play on a cameo. This was clever because they kept setting it up like Cap was going to be in this, right? Like you heard his voice. You're like, oh my God, we got Captain America. Show his face. And then it's Johnny Storm because this is the Fox universe. This is who we played in the Fox universe. It was so freaking perfect. And the stinger, the end stinger with Human Torch is probably one of the best stingers they've done, where he's just like, even though you still got him killed, Deadpool, you still literally got this guy killed. If you didn't stick around for that stinger, you missed out, by the way.
Yeah, that was a great stinger. That was a great joke for when it from the point of that happening to throughout the whole movie. That was a great joke they kept on bringing up. Like, oh no, you killed him.
Yeah, you got him murdered. And he got Nice Pool straight up murdered so he could get the dog.
Speaking of cameos, since we're on the subject,
yeah,
y'all know who Ryan Reynolds' personal life cameos were, correct?
Lady Deadpool.
Lady Deadpool.
Was Blake Lively.
Baby Deadpool. And the angsty teenage Deadpool.
He's got his kids involved too, right?
Yeah, so he had 2 of his kids playing the youthful Deadpools. And then Lady Deadpool is
That's cool.
Blake Lively. I thought that was super cool. I love that.
I love that. I love the whole fight with all the Deadpools at the end. I thought it was going to be terrible.
It was shot so cool.
Okay, here's something. Here, I have one issue with the movie, right? So I'll bring it up because you just brought that. All right, we brought that up. Sean Levy, I think he's a very good director. The action scene in the middle where you have Blade and Elektra and Gambit, I thought that was shot really shitty. Like, I think it was clunkily edited. It's too fast clipped. It's hard to tell what the action is going on. You can tell some of what Gambit's doing, but none of the other ones really get the big moments that they should get, I don't think, except maybe X-23, which Daphne Keane, I'm glad she's back. My God. I had somebody say, oh, she's hot. I'm like, that's just creepy, dude. I just watched Logan. She was like 9 years old. That wasn't that long ago. Stop being
Seriously.
weird. Just stop being weird. But she's a very good actress, and she's in Star Wars show too. But nobody got like a big moment, I don't think, that was shot well in that scene. But then you get to the end with that whole slow-mo, living on a prayer, through the bus and everything else, like, and they're just killing all of the Deadpools. That was phenomenal. And I can't understand how one's phenomenal and I think is a great set piece, and one I thought was kind of terrible and felt very Foxish in terms of poorly shot. Am I wrong? Please.
No, I don't think you're wrong, because I do recall having that same thought when I was watching those moments where I'm like, why can't I see what's going on here? It just didn't hit as hard, you know. And maybe it was a way to balance the scene, because you're bouncing back and forth between the big fight and the fight with Cassandra Nova, you know, and they kept on. It's like they didn't know how they were going to bounce back and forth between the two of them.
I think that is one scene that they could have really spent more time fleshing out and making the very, very most of it. Instead, it felt like, honestly, it was a very similar method as the Deadpool killing spree, because the whole thing is about a slew, like a large group, a mass group fighting. It's just one is shot more aerial and somewhat integrated, and then the other one is just shot like panoramic from the side. And in both situations, you're not really focusing on any one particular person that much. And I think that's the problem with the other one, with the issue, the one that you have an issue with all the characters, is people have waited a long time to see this and things that we never thought would ever happen, like Wesley Snipes returning to Blade.
Oh, for sure.
For example. And so it's like, make the most out of this, like really give this a substantial amount of time and effort and intimacy. And we didn't have intimacy with that scene.
Yeah, I like that. We didn't have intimacy. We didn't have Blade and Elektra just going at it, or Blade and Gambit, or X-23 and whoever would be age appropriate. Like, we didn't have any of that. We needed some intimacy. I got to tell you, I wasn't that excited for Elektra. I like Jennifer Garner. I really do as an actress, but that was a character I was just, after that movie, I'm like, yeah, she can move on. I would rather that was Jean Grey or Storm or somebody than that. But it was a good Deadpool joke, or Daredevil joke, that he's dead. And she's like, we're fine. So I let it go. All right. Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. And I got to say, I was just introduced to her from Murder at the End of the World, right? Was that the show that was on Hulu?
That's the show that she was in, yeah.
And she was great in that. It's basically a Gen Z Sherlock Holmes. I love that show. I thought that was a great show from last year. And it was nice to see her, already kind of get this giant spectacle and showcase what she can do. I thought she was a very fun villain. She's the sister of Charles Xavier, so she's just as powerful. It's wild seeing what that power can be done, what can do for evil. And I just thought it was a very well-rounded performance. And even though her ending is unfortunately one of those melted by a glowy object endings that Marvel likes to do, I still overall enjoyed her as a villain. I wish she could come back in some form.
She had the strength of character and the charisma to stand up to Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, which is a hard package to stand up against, but she could do it easily. So I really loved to seeing her in this role. And I did, again, my first exposure to her was from Murder at the End of the World, and she was great in this.
I think she was phenomenal. I'm not as familiar with like the character, but I did a little bit of research on her, and she looks super creepy. And in the movie is super creepy. She has this like really interesting ability to instill fear, or like she's so mysterious and also somehow daunting with how small and tiny she is. But you just know that there's so much power that she has and has access to. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you get that across with her even very like neutral state most of the time.
And I like how she has to stick her fingers in your head. I have to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's like everybody's worst fear, right? Like,
having
imagine if everybody could hear your thoughts, or that too.
Yeah. No, my worst fear is a dog that looks like dog pool licking my face, the way Ryan Reynolds let that dog lick his face. Like he meant business.
He made out with that dog.
He did.
Let's be honest.
He did.
Disgusting.
Gross.
I'm glad there's so much love for dog pool, but we have to have boundaries.
That dog's tongue has been in so much ass, like throughout its life, and it's all over Ryan Reynolds' face now. All over it. Blake Lively made out with that dog's ass. I'm just letting you know. Ugh. So moving on. Did you guys have any issues at all with the movie that are worth like commenting on?
Nothing really jumped out at me. I liked I liked how they used the things that weren't working in the Marvel universe and turned it on its head to make a joke of it all. It's great that they did that. But nothing really stands out at me as something that was a waste of time in this movie. So I was good.
The only thing that I had mentioned to Aaron actually is I wish there would have been more effort in the comedy writing.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of times where it felt like it was very lackluster and lazy with some of the jokes that they were pulling from. Like when Deadpool or the characters are very clever with their jokes, I love it and it's on point. But there were times where I'm like, this humor is becoming like very childish. And maybe that's my misunderstanding of Deadpool as a character. Maybe that's the way he's supposed to be. But it's just...
He is supposed to be childish.
That's not, I guess, the balance there of the Merc with the mouth wasn't as good as I would have liked.
Yeah, I agree that there were some, but I think they had this in the first two movies too, where they're going for profanity and vulgarity just because it's easier as opposed to clever. And I do think when they overdo it, it's lazy. Like there's a bunch of times where they're just dropping fuck and it's just like, just words would have been fine. Like it doesn't really, it kind of dilutes the emphasis of the word the more you use it, right? If you just go like fuck, fuckity, fuck, okay, well now you're neutralized to it. And that's what it became in certain parts of the movie. Where it could have been jazzed up a little bit.
Fucking go.
Yeah, that's become an anthem. Yeah, right? That's like an anthem of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Brat. Let's fucking go. That's the anthem. All right, that brings us to the soundtrack. I think we already, everybody loves Like a Prayer. The use of that was fantastic. I never thought I'd get stoked for a Madonna song. Here I am humming it all over the place nowadays and still somehow can't get the title right. But Bye Bye Bye, I gotta say, I don't care about NSYNC. Never really have been a big fan, but now I can't get that stupid song out of my head because that might be the best opening in all the Deadpool movies, and they all have great openings.
The opening was a lot of fun. I love the fact that the way they opened it, as far as digging up Logan and being like, little does everyone know he can't die, and he goes and tries to dig him
Starts beating the shit out of him with a shovel, and then uses him as an actual weapon to kill everybody at the TVA. Love it.
It was great. The music, the music really did its job as far as punching up every single moment or making it just weird enough to work, and the song choices from Like a Prayer to Living on a Prayer, all of those, it all worked for me.
No, Living on a Prayer isn't actually in the movie. That was me. That confused you.
Yeah, you really did.
So Bye 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 is in there. There's a bunch of songs. Jesus Christ.
There's an Avril Lavigne song, which is really funny. I love that the way that they use the soundtrack was a combination of 1, to have fun, to 2, like get the millennials, and then 3 for comedy. So to me, they did a phenomenal job as always with the soundtrack.
I just love that they incorporated the NSYNC dance for no reason. That it has nothing to do with the movie. No one cared. I love that NSYNC changed the name of their video to a official video from Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a hoot. I just love all of this. Like, it's ridiculous. All of this is ridiculous and shouldn't exist. And this is something that Ryan Reynolds willed into the universe because he did this with the first movie and got whoever got the test footage out there for the public to see. We got the first movie, which led to the second movie, which led to this one. By the way, is anybody bummed that Cable wasn't here?
No.
I really wanted to see both a little bit of Cable and a little bit of
Domino.
Domino would have been great. Because I had rewatched that movie before I went to go see this, and I freaking love Domino in the second movie. So it would have been great to see her a little bit, but it would have been too much also.
They could have used some luck. You know what I mean? It was a bummer.
A little bit. It's not a superpower.
What's your favorite moment? Like, do you have a favorite moment or joke or something from this one that really stuck with you, that this is what you're going to take away from the movie?
Oh, look, it's a comic accurate suit. This is the same suit you wore when you fought the Hulk. Wait a second. I'm Marvel Jesus.
And splat against the thing. Not the Cavalrine. Cavalrine.
Cavalrine was great
that
for me
was
too.
very funny. I loved that one.
So that also means that now there are officially 2 actors who have played Wolverine then.
See what they did there?
Technically. They could bring him back if they wanted to.
Oh, that was a great way to sneak him in and then like hand off the reins.
Oh, the joke about, we'll treat you much better than those fuckheads down the street or whatever. Love that. Love that joke. I love the in jokes there, breaking the fourth wall. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
No,
all of it was great.
Yeah, my favorite, I think, was the fight in the car. I love the fight in the car. They just beat the ever-loving shit. All you hear are just things being slashed and diced up, and they beat the shit out of each other, and then it ends with X-23 picking them up, and Deadpool is wrapped up in a seatbelt like a mummy. I just thought it was great. I love that whole bit. And I love the road trip, and where he's like doing the whole Spider-Man thwip.
Oh yeah, that was
such
funny.
a nice touch. That was good.
Yeah. Other than what we've talked about, so my favorite moment for sure was the Blade joke. Sorry, I lost my brain for a second. The Blade joke where he's talking about how some MFers are still trying to ice skate uphill. But that's probably my number one moment. But then there's also a really sweet moment from Daphne Keene where she tells Wolverine that he was always the wrong guy. And I was like, oh, the feels.
You know what I love about that is she does that where she's at the fire and she's like, you were always the wrong guy, and then walks away. And you don't hear the rest of the line until he needs it. And I kind of like that, which is the rest of the line is, until you weren't. And I just thought, oh, it gets you. It gets you. And I am so glad they brought her back because she's technically his daughter, in Logan. Obviously, this is a different variation, but still, I mean, there's a connection. I like that there's still that connection. And at the end, they're having a happy ass time, like together, which is the one thing you wanted to see them have in the Logan movie, and they never got to. So I'm glad we finally got that moment. That was a really beautiful moment.
Hi, Wade. Hi, Yukio.
Oh my God, Yukio.
Oh, that's good.
That is a joke that will never get old. Every time he sees her in his hair system. It's a hair system.
It's a balayage. You know what? I just remember one part that I just did not get, and that's how Peter shows up in the Deadpool suit, and all the Deadpools lose their mind over Peter.
Because he's a friend in every universe. Everybody's got a Peter, so they all related to Deadpool. Yeah, it's dumb, but it's definitely like, okay, fine, whatever. Whatever stops them from fighting.
I did enjoy the fact that Headpool was Nathan Fillion, Cowboy Pool was
McConaughey.
A lot of that was very great.
That was fun. There's a lot of fun. There's so much fun. And you get more, like, seeing it the second time, I caught stuff I didn't see the first time, and I'm sure I'll catch stuff the third time and so on, just like I have with the first 2 films. So now that we've got this, what do you want to see each of them do after this? Do you want another Deadpool Wolverine movie? We know we're going to get them in Avengers, but do you want them to have another team up with, some people are saying there's a rumor that Wolverine's going to team up with Hulk. I don't know if that's true. Or would you rather see a Deadpool and Wolverine 2, like make a sequel to this movie as opposed to like a Deadpool 4? Or do you want some solo stuff? What
do you mean as opposed to? Why can't we have it all?
Because there's this thing called time and we don't have all of it.
Yeah, Marvel, they do have a limit on the money, although they're making, $500 million with this one already, and it just came out, so they might be. Hugh Jackman's getting some offers right now. That's all I'm saying. What do you want to see?
I love that for him. Oh, I don't think did we mention the Greatest Showman jokes? All of the
that was
callbacks
so
to
quick.
Greatest Showman.
That was so quick. The one with on the radio, that was so quick. When they play the song, and it's like that and gone. What other ones are you talking about? Are there more than that?
There was the radio. There was like 2 or 3. I have the worst memory in the world, but there was something else that they made a reference to Greatest Showman for.
See, now I got to watch it a third time. I don't remember any more than the radio joke, but that was a good joke.
I can't wait to see it again. Honestly, I'm gonna have to wait, but I can't wait to see it again.
So is there a team up you want, or do you want a Deadpool Wolverine 2? Speak.
I would rather see a Deadpool Wolverine 2. I don't know if I want to see Wolverine get its own movie or Deadpool do another just Deadpool movie, because at this point I think this is the end of the line for Deadpool doing things by himself. Or even better, sprinkle them in throughout the MCU as seasoning, like they do with the Hulk. The Hulk doesn't get his own movie. The Hulk shows up and he adds something to the movies he's in. So that's what I want to see for these two characters.
Well, I think they're making too much money for them to not get another movie together. I think that'll be greenlit very fast. And I do like that they don't have to follow conformity in that franchise. They can do whatever they want at this point. They can be called to Earth 616, right? The sacred timeline, and do whatever they want. They can do something crazy. They can be in the background of an Avengers movie. They can literally just be fighting in the background and not have to say anything. Just pop in for a joke and then bam, pop out if they really wanted to. Amanda, do you want to team up?
I just want more of them. Yeah. I mean, I'll take it in. I want another Deadpool, so I want a Deadpool 4. But I would also like a Deadpool versus Wolverine 2, or whatever else they can come up with that brings these two together, and other characters too. I mean, they're a lot of fun, and clearly audiences are invested in that.
Clearly. All right. Well, we'll see what they do next. So if $10 is the full price of admission, what is your score overall? Mine's $9. Same as the first two movies, by the way. It's the same score. I still like Deadpool 1 the best, just because it was so innovative and original, and they made that work, and it was impossible to make work. And I just think it's an overall great time. But I love all of these movies pretty much equally. What about you guys?
I'm going $8.50.
I'm going $9.50.
Ooh, almost perfect.
Okay.
Almost perfect.
What kept it from being perfect? Too many butt
the
jokes?
Peter moment. The Peter moment does that for me a bit. And yeah, I mean, there's no Godzilla in it, so.
Dude, if they could make that work, right? Like Godzilla is in the background. Kong comes flying by. Henry Cavill's Wolverine has a cape. There's all kinds of weird nods they can make.
Yeah.
Do you think they saved the Marvel Cinematic Universe? That's the final question.
Too soon to tell.
I think they financially saved themselves a little bit. Will audiences trust all of the other Marvel movies? No. I don't think that this inherently makes us jump to the next movie they put out unless these characters are in it. I think this was it's something we expected, right? Like, we expected Deadpool to be fun. We expected Wolverine to be fun. So we expected this movie to be good. We don't expect their other movies to be great anymore. And so I don't think they've fully won over audiences as like, yeah, everything Marvel puts out will be amazing. But I think it does help with their image, with how people are perceiving their movies. All right, they're not done for. They still have it. But clearly the direction they have and the direction Ryan Reynolds has, one of them's working, one of them's not. So I hope that they heed some of this.
I don't think it does at all. I think it gets me excited more for the Marvel Universe because of this, and then following up with Thunderbolts, which I'm really stoked about, a villain showcase. And honestly, I would have been on Marvel Cloud 9 had they not made the Doctor Doom announcement. If they had went another way with Doctor Doom, brought in any other goddamn actor, I think I'd be stoked right now for that whole, because I love Victor Von Doom. I think he's a cool villain. And now I don't give a shit. I just don't. And that's, I know I'm not alone. I know
Victor Von Doom is going to be played by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Fine. Miles Teller could be playing that fucking character and I would have cared more. That's what I'm telling you.
Jeez.
That's how much I don't give a shit about this.
That is a lot.
That's insane.
God, it's so stupid. Just stupid. And by the way, I'm glad Deadpool didn't do anything to try to save their timeline. Because fuck that Fantastic Four movie. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening. hope you enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine. Let us know on social media what you thought of the movie if you haven't already, and what you thought of the spoiler cast. And I'm sure we missed something that you think we should have talked about that we didn't. So go ahead and let it rip. Appreciate it. Remember, the next time you head to a theater to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, don't stream it. Go see it in a theater. This is movie magic. Buy popcorn. And also, Vanessa is the stripper from Deadpool. That's who Amanda was trying to think about.
Oh, Marina, I'm so sorry.